and Jeramiah Dickey, right? Oh my gosh. I can hear like Endless Love playing in the background. Kidding aside, he's with us right now. Prater the Ballgame, our Dollar Loan Center video audience on our YouTube channel. We also welcome new segment, Ask the AD with JD. Jeramiah Dickey, what's going on? Thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys, for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah, got the headset on now, rolling right along in the rowpaint.com studio. I'm going to start easy.
Actually, let me start. I need to get this out of the way fast. It's a new series. We're honored and blessed to have you. It's one of our favorite things to do. And I hate to do this to you right off the bat, because I think I kind of like you, but your predecessor, when Apsey was the AD, he did it weekly.
Yeah.
He came in here weekly, every Tuesday for like 2 years. You're giving us once a month, dude. What's what's going on here?
Maybe I'll start calling in.
No.
Well, just when you guys are doing the show, maybe I'll that way,
Jeremiah from Texas.
Yeah, Jeremiah from Texas.
No, I'm just kidding.
I didn't realize he did it once a week. Now, I'm a competitor.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Well, essentially, you kind of are doing stuff like this once a week.
For sure.
And Prater's going to ask you why in a little bit, but I want to know what the heck it was like for you, Super Bowl 59. I know the Eagles aren't really your team, but you and Kellen Moore have developed this relationship since you've taken the job. You got to know him a little bit. What was it like for the Dickey family in your household watching that Super Bowl and watch Kellen Moore, kind of the pride and joy, as you know, here at Boise State, win a Super Bowl as an OC?
Absolutely. He's the GOAT. And, obviously I've been here for 4 years and I've gotten to know him over the course of time, and consider him a friend, and just so happy for him and proud of him. I mean, what an amazing experience. So from my household, I mean, we're Cowboys fans. So, I mean, we hate the Eagles more than life,
right? Yeah.
So that was really tough cheering for the Eagles, but that's what we did. And it was for Kellen, and man, what a game did he call. I mean, that was amazing. And, the score probably was indicative of how much of a blowout that was. And he deserves it. I saw the announcement today, and, been texting with him. He's earned it and he deserves it.
I was going to leave him alone on the text. I don't think he's going to text me back for a few days, but JD's got the constant communication. I love it. Yeah. We got Kirby coming on next week. He's fired up
Kirby's
as well.
Yeah.
The Saints, I would imagine now. I mean, there's their Super Bowl question, but I mean, the Dickey family and you, I'm sure, close attention to. I mean, is your son going to be wearing a Who Dat shirt at some point?
I'm not sure, but I will say I had a dinner last night, and I got home and the kids were already in bed, unfortunately, and there was an Eagles jersey on our table, and I was talking to Cody actually about some stuff we had going on today. And I stopped the conversation and asked my wife, like, you let him buy an Eagles jersey?
Whoops.
And so my kid he wore an Eagles jersey today. So he's sleeping outside tonight. And, you got to teach them when they're young. Like, what are we doing? So in terms of the Saints,
That's
I'm
crazy.
like, what happened to the days that, like, I'm a Cowboys fan and, we haven't sniffed a Super Bowl since I was a kid.
I know.
But every year I come in and expect, them to go to the Super Bowl. So I'm still a Cowboys fan. My kids they're now supporting the Bills because of Shakir and, Kellen and the Saints and, and I'm sure whoever drafts Ashton is going to be the next team. So
100%. What Eagles jersey
loyalty.
was it? Was Saquon?
Yeah.
He's like, coolest
he's
Eagle.
A running back. And he tied it back to Ashton. He said, well, Ashton's right. I said, but that's not Ashton. I said, buy Ashton. If Ashton goes to the Eagles, then so be it.
You're wearing an Eagles jersey. Okay, Dad.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Dickey asked the AD with JD.
For the record, early on in today's show, I did predict the Dallas Cowboys to go to the playoffs next year, and Johnny said dead last place.
That was the worst prediction he had all day.
Dead last place, he said. So who's your favorite in this room right now?
Yeah, you. But you're like a fan. Like every year since the last Super Bowl, I've told my dad the same thing. Like, Dad, this is it. This is the year. Yeah. We'll see.
What, in all honesty, in all seriousness, what does it mean, in your words, to have a former Boise State football player be a head coach in the NFL?
I mean, you look at, obviously we had Coach Cutter and it didn't play for us, but, once a Bronco, always a Bronco. And, but someone like Kellen, and everyone talks about the Mount Rushmore and he's absolutely on it. And for a while, maybe it was the only one. And, I mean, how awesome for Bronco Nation and how awesome for Kellen, he's done it the right way. And, every step of the way, and hasn't always been treated well by my Cowboys, but for him to keep going back and some of the challenges he had last year with the Eagles and people calling for his head. And it just shows you, like, he keeps showing up. He's consistent. He's controlling what he can control. And for it to end up the way it did and him to call that game and then, today get to go to the Saints. I hope Bronco Nation is I know they're proud of him and I hope they appreciate it. It's going to mean a lot this season as we get to watch the Saints. And I'm sure, there are a lot of new Saints fans in Boise.
Boise State Athletic Director Jeramiah Dickey. This is a brand new segment. It's the second Tuesday of every month for as long as we can keep him, hopefully at least until the football season in August or September. He's going to join us right here. You're also doing a weekly segment with Bronco Nation News, our partner, and BJ. You're going to try to jump on and do something once a month with Jay over at Channel 7 as well. You're on this media blitz and you're trying to spread the word. And I've said, and I honestly believe this because I do speak with hyperbole, but this thing is real. This might be the most important offseason, not only in the history of Boise State athletics, but in the history of college athletics. There are so many crazy things. We're going to educate people like crazy. But why was it important for you to go on this offseason media blitz?
Well, for a couple of reasons. One, I feel like every offseason has been this way, right? And it's always what's next for us. But two, you look at an industry that is changing by the hour. I mean, every day I'm getting updates and texts and whether it's NCAA or a new lawsuit. And I feel it's my responsibility to be transparent and utilize these platforms to be able to tell our story, but also to be able to inform and educate our fan base. A lot is changing in our industry and I'm doing it with our staff. And this is just the next iteration. I need to do more of that in terms of Bronco Pro and our purpose behind everything that we're doing.
Bronco Pro is your new revenue sharing student athlete program.
Correct.
That's going to kind of transition from the NIL era.
Absolutely. Yes, correct. And it's important for us to connect. I mean, it's hard to explain what's going on in an industry, even to people who are living it on a daily basis. I can't imagine how Bronco Nation feels. And I want to bring them along in the process. And there's going to be opportunities through, you and BJ and Jay and anyone else that I'm going to be getting in front of to be able to tell this appropriate story and hopefully simplify it for people. We have a lot more questions and answers right now, but why not? Like, I'm not going to run from it. I'm not going to avoid it. We're making some really tough decisions and I would rather face it head on and be able to maybe provide, some feedback on the direction and why we're doing what we're doing. There's always strategy and everything has purpose. And that's important to me. And then another thing, I know I hit you guys, every once in a while, and it's usually during the season. And I want to be more consistent. I'm not a finished product, and I'm leading this massive organization now, and so grateful for my teammates. But I need to be more efficient for them. I need to be more organized, and there's a lot more work to be done. And so I think getting on a consistent cycle will help, and will allow me to connect with those that are helping us tell our story.
By the way, if you're trying to be more efficient, you actually showed up 2 minutes early today. So
I did.
Usually you're like 1 minute late.
Yes, I know. And I texted you on the way here and I was concerned, but probably broke a few laws on the way here, but I got here.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Jeramiah Dickey with us. Ask the AD with JD. Fundraising goals. And, for me, I always say the two most important factors for an AD for me are one, hire the right football coach, and two, get people's money. And I think you're doing the best of both, I think, certainly with the football coach. But we took a lot of pride last year. You came on during that softball show and asked for lights. And within a couple of weeks, the guy called you and said, I heard that interview. I'll get those lights for you at that softball field. What are we talking about this time, JD? Your fundraising goals. Give us a little bit of detail what we're talking about. What needs to get done down there, man?
Yeah, so high level, and I'm going to read something to you, and this is important. And I want to thank my guy Coots, who you guys have gotten to know. He's doing a phenomenal job. The average rate of football budget growth since the last time we went to the Fiesta Bowl prior to this was 93%. Ours was 13%.
When you say average rate, that's FBS?
FBS.
Okay.
And so that's something that coming into this year, it's not like we're in a position to settle or to, yes, you want to appreciate the run, but now Epic is doing it again and doing it again. And we're bar raisers. And so when I think about the fundraising goals, it continues to be find the resources that we can invest back into our department, back into our football program that continues to allow us to tell this story, to be the front porch of not just our institution, but our state, and to compete at a high level. And that's a lot of what we're doing right now, whether it's Bronco Pro and revenue share that we have to go find. It's hard to share revenue when you're starting in deficits.
Yeah.
And so we have to go find that money. We also are fundraising for our North End Zone facility. We're also fundraising for coaches' contracts and assistants and the investment in that space, which I know you all probably have questions on. And then we have other projects that, the blue turf needs to be changed out. It does, and everything from something like that. I believe it was put in prior to me getting here in 2019. But something like that to, we need new sand at the beach volleyball courts. We still need to get turf for softball.
Absolutely.
The needs are everywhere, and we're going to do the work to go find it. And that's going to be our story. And that ties into getting on these shows and being able to talk through some of those projects that are important to us, that are going to provide the best possible staff, student athlete, and supporter experience.
The athletic director, just like a football coach, has to be strategic. And if you went and shook hands, if you went and shook 100 hands every day, all day, and all you did was ask for money, your message would be lost at one point. It goes away. I know you have to start by building relationships, and that makes the asking part a lot easier. And you've done a hell of a job in these years that you've been at Boise State building these relationships. So now it's kind of time to pay the piper. But who do you lean on, and what kind of advice do you give yourself about finding that balance of constantly? If you came on this show every month for the entire summer asking for money, people are going to kind of tune out on that a little bit. So you've got to find that right balance. What is that balance, and where do you go to find that right balance?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I lean very much on people like Cody and Coots and people on my team that are helping me with the data and to be able to tell this story. We're trying to get more creative and strategic around how we tell that story. We did a VIP thing last August that was awesome. And it was tied into, a behind the scenes look of the athletic department and what we're actually navigating. I don't want my message to be lost. And you're right in that I can't always be meeting people with my hand out. But my job is also to ask, and I'm a fighter, and we're not going to quit. We are going to find and create a path forward, and we're going to find solutions to some of the challenges we have. And that just puts more pressure, and in a positive way. Pressure sometimes sounds negative, but it puts more pressure on us to connect with our people more than we've been doing. And that means more calls, more meetings, more coffees, breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever it is that you, if you saw me at the last basketball game, I watch very little of the game, and I'm treating basketball more. Usually I would watch, and it was my time to kind of, just experience the game. I'm treating it like football games. I don't watch a lot of our home games because I'm in Stickle, and I'm shaking hands and kissing babies and trying to get our story out there. And there are obviously always a lot of questions, and that makes it so much easier that when I do reach out, they know what I'm coming for. And we have such great donors and supporters. Bronco Nation is elite. And you, whether it's Blue Collar Club and someone's donating $1 or someone's giving us $1 million, there's a lot that goes into that. And there is strategy, obviously, but it starts with me as the AD.
Jeramiah Dickey with us. Ask the AD with JAD on Idaho Sports Talk here. This is going to be every second Tuesday of the month. It's going to be fun, JD.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
Spencer Danielson, and he's on this crusade as well, kind of saying, hey, we need more. We'll do whatever you want as a program, but you better fund it, okay? Because we'll do all that stuff, but we need what they need, and we'll do it. I mean, he has his brother, Ethan, making cold calls. I heard it. Ethan Danielson is calling random people saying, I'm Spencer's brother. Yeah. Can you give us $5 if you have it? What goes through your head when you're thinking, I've never heard of a football coach kind of go on this fundraising campaign that Spencer is on as well right now. Does he have time for all this?
Spencer's is an amazing human being, and his energy level is unmatched. And he's making the time. And what I love about it is he's living out in action what we expect of everybody. And if the head football coach of a CFP team can do that, then why can't I? Why can't someone else on my team? Why can't someone else in the community like an Ethan who got $100,000 the other day?
Somebody gave Ethan $100,000 to give to Spencer. What? No! I'm so glad you told us that. By the way,
they're killing it. And sometimes it starts at the top. We have to live it out in action. I can't promise success, guys, but I can promise that we are going to show up. We are going to do the work, and there is no quit in this team. We are going to find a way, and I believe in our process. I believe in our people, and there is enough money. Like Spencer says it all the time, and you've heard me say it. We don't need what everyone else has. We just need more than we got. And being able to tell the story around how our budgets increase or not increase over the course of 10 plus years and everyone else's has, it shows where we're behind, and we have to catch up. And we're doing that. And we've grown our athletic budget. We've grown our football budget, but we need to do it at a much higher level. And we're going to continue to do that. If everyone enjoyed the Fiesta Bowl experience and what that season was to us and getting back and where it actually mattered, it wasn't just a bowl game, and not saying bowl games don't matter to us, but the CFP is a different level. And that gave us a taste of what it could be. And I believe in Spencer and what he's building and the culture, and that's still going to be our secret sauce. The culture is important.
That was a gutsy hire, dude.
But I believe in what he's building, and it takes a team. And we're not going to sit back and wait for something to happen. We are going to face it head on. We are going to make the calls. And I don't care if we have to call every single person in Idaho. Every dollar counts, and we are going to find a way. And we need everyone to step up, and hopefully they believe in us and what we're building.
180,000 small businesses in the state of Idaho. Holy cow. Good luck with that list. Hey, Spencer Danielson, you just talked about him. We're going to send him that clip, although I'm sure you say the same thing to his face every single day. $1.2 million this past season, and turned in one of the greatest coaching jobs in Boise State history, starting with the offseason, leading into the regular season, and finishing with the postseason. Somewhere along the way, since the Fiesta Bowl, you guys have talked about a new contract for Spencer Danielson, or new details, or a new extension. I would imagine it's early on in the process. The previous coach, who you got rid of, was making $300,000 more than Spencer Danielson. What are you thinking in terms of a number? What are you thinking in terms of an extension for him, in terms of the life of contract? And are you even putting together stuff for Spencer Danielson moving forward?
So yes, we're putting together stuff. Spencer and I and his agent have had many conversations, and some of these things, as you guys know, take time. And I'm going to provide all those details in terms of the amounts and whatever else. I'm getting him back, to 5 years, and okay. Obviously there'll be more salary and incentives. And, when you look at our conference and some of the hires that have been made recently, whether it's a Bronco who's making $2 million, Dan Mullins at UNLV, who's making, I think, 3.5. We know who we are. We're never, you got to really want to be a Bronco, and we're never going to be the highest, and that's okay. But we can compete, and he's deserving of it. He was a finalist for a number of National Head Coach of the Year awards. He won the Mountain West Head Coach of the Year. We went to the CFP, and we did it with so much less than everyone else. He's earned and deserved more, and I'm doing the work, and our team's doing the work to get it.
You just recently, I think it was last week, announced raises for 6 assistant coaches, and you haven't even announced the raises or the contract details for your 3 coordinators yet.
Yeah.
That's 10 dudes. In the history of Boise State football, Boise State has never paid its assistant football coaches a salary pool of $3 million for 1 year. Based on Prater math, which is never very good, you're going to blow that away this year. You have a $3 million assistant salary pool and growing for these assistant coaches. Why and where does that come from?
One, you win with people. People are our greatest asset. And, a lot of those guys had opportunities to leave for a lot more. Just like me, just like Spencer, just like anyone else. Leon, you insert coach. You got to really want to be a Bronco. They want to be Broncos. And it's funny. It's similar to the conversations we had with Ashton last year. We're going to win with people. The culture is king for us, and that's our secret sauce. But that does not mean we should take advantage. And so it's my job to go out and find it. And when you look at what, maybe coordinators were getting paid when I first got here, I was blown away. And it's a testament to Hars and anyone prior, Coach Pete, what they were able to do with the money they had. The thing that's changed over time for us guys is the cost of living in Idaho.
Yeah.
And what used to be a competitive advantage for us, because you could buy a house here, you could get a house up in McCall,
right?
You could live with a lot less. That has changed. And so we have to increase more than maybe I would have thought coming in. And my job is to go out and find it. And that's a big part of our fundraising initiatives as we move forward. It's what's next. And, we're very fortunate for the Noble Estate and what that's allowed us to do. But I'm looking at the next 5 years, and that does not mean we're being fiscally irresponsible. But I read the numbers earlier in terms of how much our budget's grown. We know that we're operating in a deficit, and we're having to essentially go out and fundraise for what that looks like. At some point, others are going to catch up to what we're trying to accomplish, and we're going to unite, and we're going to do epic. And the next 5 years is key for us. When we look at our industry and the changes coming and the revenue share, we are holding the golden ticket. We have the greatest marketing tool in the history of college athletics with that blue turf. Back-to-back years of the USA Today poll and over 245,000 people attended the blue. That's just not our games. That includes people just coming for tours.
I can't believe that stat. But
I'm not going to be the AD that is going to lose that marketing tool and the value of what Bronco football is to this state, this community, to Bronco Nation. And you're going to get our best efforts, and we have more work to do. We're not a finished product. And, these assistants deserve so much more for what they accomplished this year. But, there's still a lot ahead of us, too.
What are your goals, Jeramiah Dickey? You mentioned Ashton Jeanty. Your goals for the relationship between Boise State and Ashton Jeanty moving forward, having it grow. What are your goals there for, you don't want Jeanty coming back every 9 years.
Oh, for sure. And I think you've seen that the last couple years. I'll even say when Andy got here and the number of guys that were coming back, we can't have gaps in those relationships. It's the same with donors, and their families. And, we have to be so consistent with the connecting, the opportunities to connect and especially why someone's in the league. And there's ways that we can do that. And I think Dale does a great job from equipment side. I think Spencer does a phenomenal job. You look at Lou and Charlotte and the number of guys that we had come back, Shakir was just in town, and he's stopping by to talk to the team and DeMarcus Lawrence last summer was in town. Like, we have to start that much sooner with Ashton. We're fortunate because his coaches are here and there is that love and appreciation. I think that brotherhood that Spencer talks about. And that's a lot of that is going to be on not just the coaches, but Varsity B and myself, and how do we connect and how do we get him back and how do we continue to pour into that relationship. We can't go years and not connect, and those guys have to feel comfortable coming back, and that ties into a lot of our strategy around Varsity B and the work Justin is doing and how we create those opportunities. You look at what we started off with 4 years ago, and it's insane how time flies. But 4 years ago, we talked about like the infrastructure and why it was important. And I don't think people could connect the dots, but there was a reason we hired Darren College. There was a reason that we created that Varsity B and got it back. It didn't exist when I got here. It used to, but when I got here, it didn't exist. Excuse me. That's important to us. That is part of our relationships. That is part of the infrastructure. That's why we created a season ticket or a ticket sales team. That's why we created a major gift team. You got to plan the work the plan. And ultimately it's worked out. And this year you saw it with 7 games, 7 sellouts. But now it's what's next. And we have to continue to utilize that infrastructure and build on these relationships because those people are important to us. Once a Bronco, always a Bronco.
Jeramiah Dickey, the second Tuesday of every month right here on Idaho Sports Talk. Ask the AD with JD, and we'll hit all these hard-hitting questions. Last one for me before we get you out of here. I think Johnny's got one more. This is the big one. This was the most important one. This is the one that's going to make you nervous, and you're not going to be able to answer it. Have the new goalposts showed up yet? And are they going to be ready for March? Are they going to be ready for spring ball? I want to see some new goalposts.
Gosh, yes.
So the north end zone goalpost is new. That one was put in and for the Potato Bowl. The south end zone
that's the new one. That's the permanent new one.
Correct.
Okay.
The south end zone one is not new. We are going to work, because of spring ball and working out, and because of the north end zone construction, Nate and his team and Jordan, who do a great job driving all these events to our stadiums and monetizing our operations so we can continue to invest. They are working on that south end zone, and the goal is to have that in sometime this spring.
And then just quick on the north end zone, I know you touched on it there, but just kind of where you are as far as where you wanted to be at that point. And anything else you got that you want to mention before we get you out of here on the first installment of Ask the AD with JD?
So in terms of an update on north end zone?
Yeah,
we're making progress. There's always excuse me. There's always, peaks and valleys in a facility. Every time you dig into that ground, it's amazing what you find. And, you know, and I know no dead bodies, but I think they hit something the other day and knocked out electricity. And part of that was the casing collapse, and it wasn't anyone's fault. It's just some of that stuff's old.
Yep.
And so you have some moments like that where you may lose a day or two, but we are still right where we need to be. We're still in line with opening that facility, you know, August of 26. And at some point you're going to start seeing structure go up, but you know, they've made it's real. I mean, it's surreal. I was in the stickle the other day and I was looking down and it's like, it's gone.
Yeah.
You know, it makes it real for us. And I think donors and our student athletes and our staff really appreciate that, seeing it every day. It shows progress. Movement creates opportunity, and we are creating opportunities that we're going to be able to monetize and continue to create this sustainable model that will be beneficial for us all. I will say something about the goalposts. I know someone has those goalposts. They got them out of the river.
Yeah.
And, you know, and if you're listening, you know, I'm open to a conversation. You know, there's been some Twitter talk and whatever else. I know Bronco Nation would be appreciative of it. I know someone was going around town and trying to sell it. You know, we want to utilize that for Bronco Pro and for Bronco Nation. That was a special moment, something that people aren't going to forget, and would love everyone to be able to take advantage of that.
Whoever has this goalpost, you want them to contact and say, hey, let's work something out here.
For sure. You know, that is not someone's property. That is our property.
Good point.
And quite honestly, it's Bronco Nation's. And, you know, I know there was a lot of energy vampires, we'll call them, you know, out there about, oh, I can't believe they did this, whatever. Like, it was awesome. And it was great to see. And in that moment,
you
and
want
the emotion,
your goalpost back, man.
But then once it was down, you know, and good for them, they got it out of the river at like 3 a.m. or whatever. But you know, because I would like to provide some opportunities for Bronco Nation.
Awesome, JD, appreciate you, man.
Thank you, guys. Go Broncos.
And that's why you listen to Idaho Sports Talk. Ask the AD with JD. Prater in the ball game.
From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Studio, this is Ticket Traffic.
Drive check